It's the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. I am Jonathan Howe. He is Travis Cunningham, and we are brought to you by our pals at Bicknell Racing Products and Oshweekend Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. And Travis, this is episode 43. So who you got for number 43? Because I did not
Ooh,
think to even look at this, so I'm going to have to try to draw somebody up off of memory.
there's lots. There's even one live right now in the 358 mods.
Is there? Am I
Yeah,
crazy? Am I missing
he
something?
runs every now and again.
Okay, then. Is that
Uh,
why?
yeah, but yeah, 43 Brian Page, 43 C
Right. Yep.
Clinton Nichols.
I was going to
There's
go
there's
Nichols.
more. For me, it's always Don Biederman growing up in the
Yeah.
pavement world, like 43 Don Biederman, and then Greg brought him up last week, so good time to bring up old Donnie Biederman, who my dad always called me because he said I always ran my mouth too much, kind of like Don. Whereas yeah,
Oh, I want to hear more of
Don
those
was known
stories.
for that.
That's the stuff we need to jump into one of these
Yeah, he
days.
would always call me Biederman.
Yeah, I can't imagine you running your mouth. I don't know. I don't know where that would come from. It's news to
Mm-hmm.
me. I can't picture that at all. You're a very quiet, reserved person with no opinions at all, as we're gonna find out a little later in the show, right?
Yeah,
Well, you took
that's
mine
for
because
sure.
I was gonna say Clinton Nichols. That was gonna be my 43 that I go to.
Yeah,
Um, and
there's others.
I think that's
Like
it.
Clinton Nichols, that's his family number. I think Wimpy Nichols was his grandpa. And like
Yep.
people, like I think Alex Gunn drove for him back in the day. That's another 43. I know we're missing other ones. Daryl
There's got to be
Ebersol,
another one
maybe.
I'm missing. I can't think of. The Page one was a good one. I forgot about that one. That was a good pick.
Yeah,
Good
Brian
grab.
Page.
Yeah.
He's been around forever too. Like I see him on like the lots of old pictures I learned about him, like on the Humberstone Ransomville Merrittville history site. I love that site or that group on Facebook. So many old pictures, and then like sometimes Stewie and like Stewie's dad or all the people from back in the day will comment on it and just learn so much stuff on that page. I love it. That's where I saw, Brian Page winning like a limited sportsman feature back in 1980, whatever.
Yeah. So why don't we start with a little connection to our Southern Ontario region with JMF surviving some chaos down at the Short Track Super Series events this past weekend. Just talk to us about. You just sent me the clip. Just talk to us about uh, insane crash. Like, where does this rank on your all-time big ones in dirt racing that you've seen? Because this one would be up there for me, at least in
Oh,
terms of ones of the last 5 years.
well, this one was just seeing it on Flow, so it's not. I honestly didn't see it, so I didn't see it live, so I saw the replay. But yeah, just a big calamity coming out of Fort Sealands Grove. I talked to Matt Williamson earlier in the week, said he was going, but then a couple days of rain. Looks like it kept him away because he wasn't there when I was watching in the shop on Saturday. Because there was modifieds there too. Mike Maresca killed them in that one, led all 40 laps. But then we had some locals down there. JMF and Noah Mama went down to run the Sportsman. And JMF, I can't remember if he just squeaked in through the heat or he had to run the B. Can't remember that, but it was one or the other. But then, starting at the back, making his way up through. Huge wreck coming out of 4. 3 cars upside down. Like total calamity. He kind of just got in there and got bounced around a bit. Still ended up 14th. But ranking that wreck, that's I've seen way worse live. Like I was there the night at Ransomville when it started pouring rain going into turn 1 and the entire field, like I'm talking like golf ball sized drops. You can find the
Yeah.
video on YouTube. And like it just started as they were coming out of 4 down the front straightaway. So they didn't know, and they all piled into turn 1. There was like at least 6-7 cars upside down. People that were there know it was this craziest thing I've ever seen in my absolute life. That's always number 1 for me. I've seen some crazy wrecks. That's the number 1.
Yeah, I think for me it's our buddy Shane Pierce getting airborne a bunch. That's the main one that I keep thinking of when I think of big wrecks. But we've seen some pretty big pileups in my time at Maryville. I gotta say, like in other series and smaller divisions. But I
Ransomville has a
they have a
bigger
history
history
of it.
for huge wrecks
Yeah,
than Merrittville. Like Merrittville's got their big ones too. Like Harry Sittler hitting the back pole is a big one, and they like
yeah,
split the car in half almost. And there's another one like a him tumbling out of 4. There's definitely your Merrittville wrecks too, but like the Ransomville ones are insane.
yeah.
I've seen Bill Teresi go in the trees in 3 and 4. Hebing's made a couple trips out there. Multiple guys go in the trees there and stuff.
And
It's
which
nuts.
racetrack did we coin the Oshweekend Flyer at? Was it Ransomville? No.
Yep. There's
Yes, it
another
was.
one. Glenn Steyer's in the parking lot,
Right.
almost in turn 1.
That's what
That's
I thought
Ransomville.
of when I think of
Yeah,
Ransomville
that's
big
another
wrecks.
one that's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should.
That got Glenn's popularity going, that video, though. That's another one of the first viral vids.
Yeah, it's funny how like sometimes you build a better reputation for your wild rides than you do for your actual victories. And Glenn's one of those guys
Mm-hmm.
who's got both. He's got a lot of success, but
Yep.
he's also got the wild rides to show and scare people with.
In sprint cars, you got to almost do both. Yep.
Yeah, that's
To be able to win, you got to be able to wreck. Like if you're trying hard enough, you. Like the year I won the most, I also wrecked the most.
well,
Fact.
okay. I don't want you to wreck more, but I want to see you win. So
Yeah.
figure it out for this year. We'll find a balance. Maybe do all your winning.
Back in the day, I had that balance too. There was a time where I like every year I'd be like second and had tons of top fives and top tens, but just never win, but like
Yeah,
not tear stuff up. But then the year that I drove hard enough that I have to win, like you have to go that extra edge, especially out of weekend when it can get a little heavy. Like there's definitely no wimping around over there. So yeah,
yeah. Find the balance. I want to say win early in the year, and then you can wreck late. But I feel like the bigger money is actually towards the end of the year. So maybe just don't crash and win. You could do it. I believe in you.
People can do that. Like Dylan Westbrook's a good example of that. That kid had one huge digger in his life, I think, and it wasn't even his fault. Like someone broke a wheel or got and like turned right across, and there's nothing. But like that kid at Ush Weekend, he pounded the cushion, bounced the car around, did everything, won 28 features in 4 years, and never wrecked at all. So there goes my theory on you got to wreck too.
Yeah. Well, your theory is just your own anecdotal evidence. So maybe take the Dylan Westbrook approach and we'll make it work. But we should stick with the short track super series because we were expecting some more action soon from that series, but other factors, quote, have got in the way of that. And you want to kind of break that down for us and why we're not going to see the short
there's
track
just
super
a ton
series.
of people in the dark on the internet right now on it. And yeah, I wasn't thinking of touching on it, but I do know the juicy details from a person I totally trust. Like this is totally what happened. But yeah, other factors led me to talk about it. And man, how do we say it?
I guess it's just like people problems is the best way to say it,
Yeah.
right? It's not necessarily
like one of the series followers that's a higher up name, I'm not going to say who, wife or girlfriend might have liked someone from Bridgeport's relative or something. I'm not sure if it was brother or something. But yeah, and then maybe a fisticuff happened and someone was banned from Bridgeport.
Yeah.
And then the short track super series going there, they want to just kind of support their guy, trying to let him just run the one race or the two races they have there. They said no. And then now there's a little. I didn't say any names there, did I? If I did, I ended them out. But that's pretty much the gist of it.
Didn't say any names, but basically at the end of the day, what is going on is that people and personal issues are getting in the way of what could have been a good event, and that's something that always sucks to see because usually if you're talking about the cancellation or the withdrawal of an event, it's due to weather, it's due to maybe funding falling through. There's a whole bunch of factors that can lead to this, but it's kind
this
of
is a
unfortunate.
new one for me.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to hear that it's maybe more people related
it's also,
than anything.
It blew me away, like, because it's going to be a crappy weather weekend, looks like.
Yeah.
So they could have totally left the other factors out of that post. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They could have just blamed the rain.
Yeah.
That other factors part, like, whoa.
Yeah.
So they want people to know. It's like,
yeah. Well,
okay. Then I guess we got to talk about it. They want people to know.
You open the door. There's so many ways that you can get around. There's so many things that you can blame. You can say, oh, this didn't happen, that happened, didn't happen. Like, there's so many ways you can get around things and cover up from a PR standpoint. Like, and I don't just say that as somebody who went to broadcasting school and knows how to write a press release and all that sort of stuff. I'm saying it like as a race car fan. You don't need to leave the door open for people to speculate like they probably are. Like, there's probably commenters on Facebook and other social media platforms doing.
Yeah, if you want to find the juice and you want to dig on the internet, you can go right ahead.
Yeah.
But
it's out there. We don't need to say names. We don't need to talk about more than.
But like most people on the internet are pretty in the dark on it too. Yeah. They think it's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bummer all the way around.
Crazy.
But something that was not a bummer to find out today was that KFB Kyle Busch going back in a super late model to drive in the Kyle Larson late model challenge at Volunteer. For me, I'm a big fan of this. I always like when the Cup guys, Xfinity guys, it doesn't matter what series you are, if you step back into the dirt world, bring some extra eyeballs to it. That is good in my books. And I think, Kyle Busch is a wheelman. He can drive pretty much anything, even though I don't think of him as a dirt guy. I feel like he can still run pretty well in dirt.
Kyle Busch was whatever they used to call that thing where all the NASCAR guys and celebrities would run dirt cars. Didn't he win that thing? Prelude to the Dream.
Yes, the Prelude to the Dream at Eldora.
He won that thing.
Yeah.
And looked like a pro there. So
yeah.
And then 1 year at the he ran the Tulsa Shootout 2 times in a row now. This year he
Yeah.
stunk, but last year he went last to tail in his heat, or last to first in his heat.
Yeah.
And yeah, he can wheel everything. He's a wheel man.
Yeah.
He's one of the most talented guys in the Cup Series right now. Stock car driver.
Yep.
Especially even those kind of cars.
So
His talent undeniable.
Here's a proposal I have for you. Obviously, NASCAR is taking their All-Star race back to North Wilkesboro. That's super exciting and fun for our pavement friends and all that. But what if we had an All-Star event that kind of took the Bristol Dirt Race, took it off the schedule as a points race, made it an exhibition race, and it was like an open NASCAR versus DIRTCar challenge. And you took guys from whatever series. So if Stewie wants to come up from the truck series and run it, he can run it. Xfinity guys could run it. Cup guys can run it. And we would take the best of the DIRTCar and maybe World of Outlaws series. And you could have some kind of night where it's a sprint car class, a big block modified class. Maybe you run what else? You could probably run super late models on it too. Just maybe
You
two,
want to do this
three.
all in one night?
Yeah, I don't know. Some kind of like you don't even have to worry
You'd
about
have to
making
do
it
it all in one night, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have to be like anything fancy. There wouldn't have to be like a crazy amount of heats. You can just figure out who's going to start versus what. Because wouldn't it be cool to see like Matt Williamson take on, I don't know, who from NASCAR would drive in a big block modified? I don't know.
Whoever would have driven one, David Rudiman has driven one.
Yeah.
But he's an older guy.
Yeah, but I feel like there's still some guys that would jump on.
There's got to be, like, Smoke has driven one.
What if Kyle Larson wanted to come do it?
Well, there's been talk of Larson wanting to drive one for a while now, and I was hoping the old GSR camp would have got that done by now.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Give us what we want.
GSR,
someone's got to give him a shot. But it's so hard for him to line up the events because he races. Because he wants to do Oswego. I saw him even tweet that maybe once.
Ooh.
But like he could never do the Sunday because it's a race weekend, so he'd have to do the small block race.
Yeah,
which Glenn does have one of those. He has one of those for show.
Exactly. So he could figure something out. But
hopefully
I think it would just be cool to see some kind of like
sweet
NASCAR versus DIRTCar or World of Outlaws showdown, and it'd just be like a super fun exhibition event where guys go out of their comfort zone. Maybe the DIRTCar guys can't run in their main series, so like a Jonathan Davenport can't run a late model; he's got to jump in a big block, and Matt Williamson's got to go in a sprint car or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get weird, let's get crazy with the format and how you could do it. But
that'd be really hard to set up. But
yeah, maybe that's why
fun to fantasize.
Yeah, maybe that's why SRX exists.
Yeah. That to me is like Harlem Globetrotters of racing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that stuff
People love it,
if it's not fixed, it's pretty close to fix, I think. But you want to talk about NASCAR being fixed? Tony Stewart and Marco Andretti are the champions of that series. Come on. So I got not much else going on. Our guest today is Kyle Rothwell, but before we get there, we should touch on what was a super exciting series race for the BRPtv iRacing series. I had a blast calling it solo. I was out of breath by the end of it. Felt like the pandemic years when I was running Merrittville solo in the booth before my new co-host William Morrison joined me last year, and it was wild at the front. Tyler Pachalski ends up getting the win, his first win in the series 4 years into competition.
Congrats to the hot tamale.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats to him. It was hard fought, well earned. Did a great job holding off Gavin Isley, who's been one of the better drivers in the series this year. Travis Miller was up there as well. And up at the front,
T. Miller ended up second.
Yeah, it was a close points battle too going into it. I think the big dog Ryan Beagle had 2 points, if I'm correct, going into the show, and he leaves a couple more points down after Cody Higby had. I think he ended up 4th, if I'm correct in my
Beeks
memory.
had a rougher night for Beeks.
Yeah, which had a rougher night, and he was still, I think, in the top 10. So, like,
yeah,
that's just to show he's Mr. Consistency in the series, and if he's going to run his Hoosier stock that way, he is going to be
a
threat.
He will.
Yeah, he's going to be a threat to Bailey for sure, I think, this year. I'm looking forward to a lot of Beagle-Bailey battles, and who knows, maybe one of our guys like Justin Ramsey gets up in there for some action and steals one away.
Well, we know
Chris Hale.
That'll happen.
Yep. There's going to be...
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait.
We've had so many people on the show.
Yeah, we're getting really close. So we have to start teeing up before we get to the actual racing season. I don't know if we should do like a draft at each track before the season start. I don't know how to do it. Maybe we do a Merrittville episode where we do a draft, and then an Oshweekend season preview episode where we do a draft, and we each take a driver from each series and then have like a points battle or something that we can keep track of for the whole year or something like that. But I think we can. I
Yeah.
think that would be fun. So we'll work on that when we will work on connecting Kyle
Hold
Rothwell
on.
to the show. Oh, what are you
We can't
missing?
forget my woo rant.
Oh, that's
Did you not write that
right.
down?
Okay, yes, I did write it
Yeah.
down, and I'm missing it. I'm missing it. Okay, before we get to Kyle Rothwell, I got to put a quarter in Travis. There were how many provisionals again? Count them for me.
I get that it's early in the year. World of Outlaws. It was we got to cover the World of Outlaws race because it was just so many stories. Because number one, they debuted a new tire, so the whole field was kind of like at square one. They're debuting the new tread pattern.
Yep.
That's not a tapered or a cambered tire on both
Mm-hmm.
sides, and that caught a lot of people off guard. And that's why Rico Abreu was able to win his first start. But yeah, because it caught so many Outlaws off guard, there was like a bunch of them not in the show, Donnie Schatz included. And then there was like a couple track provisionals put in as well. And they ended up with 7 provisionals. So they ended up with a 31 car starting field, like NASCAR stuff. And I just honestly couldn't believe it. I hate provisionals to start with, let alone 7. Like if Donnie Schatz missed the tire and like he had a rough go, he got caught up in a heat and got his wingboard ripped off. So he did have a rough night. But like whatever, if he didn't run the B main and get through it, like load up and go home. I think NASCAR should be like that too. I hate how they keep the top 35 in all the time as well. Like
Yeah.
I'm old school. Like I used to love back in the day. Like if you go back and watch old NASCAR races, sometimes like I remember Jeff Burton it happened to once. Like they just didn't qualify. They had
Yeah,
to load up.
and then they'd have to go and buy like one of the lower cars teams.
Yeah, that
Right,
happened.
so they,
Daryl Waltrip, I remember doing that
yep.
for sure. He bought Carl Long's car. It's happened more than that.
I think
But
Morgan
yeah.
Shepherd had a Daytona 500 provisional that was bought too,
But
if
yeah,
I remember correctly.
7 provisionals on a dirt race.
Okay, so
On in sprint cars, that's unheard of anyway. For like a 30-car starting field, like I'm pretty sure the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals is one of the only races to do it. Maybe like the Knoxville Nationals or something. But like 31 cars on Lincoln was crazy to start with. They ended up pulling it off, but 7 provisionals on a dirt race.
And I get what you're saying. I'm gonna go maybe play devil's advocate here because I don't totally disagree with you.
Yeah.
But don't you feel like the World of Outlaws is a little bit different? Like you talk about NASCAR, and the reason they have a charter system is because their stars are what they sell. Like
I understand.
Chase Elliott can't miss a race other than when he breaks his leg, apparently. But Chase Elliott can't afford to miss a race. Like NASCAR can't afford to have that happen. They can't afford to have Jeff Gordon or Tony Stewart not make it back in the day. That's why these provisionals were put into place. And don't you think the way the World of Outlaws has gone, with it being kind of the premier sprint car series in the world, that they have to have stars like Donnie Schatz in the show because that's who sells?
Oh, I know. I totally get that aspect of it too, but 7
is a lot.
There should be like a cutoff where like Donnie Schatz gets one for sure because he's Donnie Schatz. Are you a 12-time champion? No. Okay, well, sorry, you got to load up because Donnie Schatz gets first tonight because he needs it. So you other 6 guys. And like that saves, because I'm pretty sure they only get, like, I know for sure Dean Reynolds told us the Super DIRTCar Series guys only get 5.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Wait, I'm not sure if he told us on the show or in the Discord. I always forget with him because I talk to him so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, they only get 5. So if they use them up, like, they're not going to have any more. I'm not sure about the World of Outlaws. I'm pretty sure there's a similar rule. They only get 5 once they're done. They have to load up. So then that's why at the beginning of the year they could all use them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we end up with 7 provisionals at a dirt race.
I do have to give a compliment to the World of Outlaws series because as somebody who struggles with technical knowledge of dirt cars and I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Niagara Falls. It's not like I have like a garage of my own and a toolkit that I get to wrench on stuff all that much and learn. They put out a fantastic TikTok, and I'm sure it's on other social media platforms too, where they were explaining the new tire and the differences and broke it all down for me. It was really great to see and learn. And if you're a fan of sprint car racing in the World of Outlaws and you haven't seen that video yet, and maybe you weren't aware of the changes, go and watch it because I learned a lot from it, and that was pretty good stuff.
And another fun tidbit, like their left rear, we're going to stay on our HTC right rear.
Yeah.
But like what they showed, like what they got, the new left rear and the new tread pattern and the symmetrical tire is coming to the 360s around here and the crates.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the sprint cars around here will eventually be on that. We have like right now, Erica's telling everybody at BRP or people buying tires like not to stock up on left rears because at some point they're going to have to phase in this new left rear, which is going to be the only sprint car style left rear.
Yep.
So, yeah, don't stock up on your left rears because there's eventually this new left rear coming. with
Yeah,
like holes all over it for cooling holes, and you saw the video.
I did. It was fascinating.
Tire prep's gonna be a new deal
Yeah, tire
on the
prep is going
electric.
to be very new deal, and anything that's going to make these tires last a little bit longer and save the racers some money ultimately would probably be best. I don't know the price of these tires. I'm sure that's probably calculated when retailers are going to find a way to still make some money at least and make profits off of it. But I hope it's the right direction for the series, and it seems like it is, even if they're starting 7 provisionals, which is not the way it should go, according to Travis. I'm kind of good with the
Bit
provisionals.
excessive.
It's a bit excessive, I guess. All right, let's get to Kyle Rothwell. I wanted to talk to him because he's a big Ken Block fan, and for episode 43, I thought it'd be pretty appropriate to have this guy on. So
Yeah,
we'll hear from our
forgot to mention
sponsors
Ken.
and talk some Ken Block and some four-cylinder racing, and maybe even ask him a little about a certain sprint car that I may or may not have seen on his social feed. That and more coming up after the break here on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunderstocks, and mini-stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANACURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing. All right, we are back on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. I'm Jonathon Howe, he's Travis Cunningham, and we are joined by Kyle Rothwell. And Kyle, it is good to have you on. Good to have some four-cylinder representation, and you are. I want to say, if it wasn't for Tyler LaFaunie's great late year last year, which I'm sure you had a big helping hand in at least, you're kind of the king of the four-cylinder since I've started to come around Merrittville. You dominate that series, and you know how to put the 114 in victory lane. So let's start from the very beginning, Kyle. How did you start your racing career?
I actually started when Tyler was racing a pure stock for the Catholic School Board.
Yep.
And I met him through Kyle Tomaski. Me and Kyle Tomaski were hanging out, and he kind of introduced me to Tyler, and Tyler was just like a one-man show. So I'd help him and, get my feet wet in that and learn the car. And then I ended up buying the car off him at the end of that season. Once he won the championship, I just bought the car off him, and he moved up to Mini.
So it all kind of starts with that connection with Tyler, and he actually told us a little bit about that story as well when we had him on too. From there, once you get into the driving aspect of it, how quickly did it feel like it took you to catch on in terms of learning to drive and learning to compete?
Uh, it it was like I'm gonna say it was like 4 weeks of trying to get the car to my liking, because me and Tyler don't have the same driving style. We can drive each other's cars and win in them, but we still set each other's cars up our own little way. So I'd say it took me about 4 weeks to get my first win in that car, and then once I got comfortable with it, it was pretty nice to drive.
Yeah, that class doesn't exist anymore. Pure stocks at Humberstone, right? So tell us about driving that. It was like a V8 car, rear wheel drive, different than what you got now.
Yeah, it was
So yeah, tell us about driving that thing and how it's different from what you got now.
it was like a Hoosier stock. It just didn't have the power. We had 305 with a 2 barrel on it. We had straight exhaust on it for the first half of the year, and we got pretty dominant throughout the season. So they tried to slow us down a bit, like 3, 4 weeks to go. They made us put mufflers on the car and just try and detune it a little bit. But yeah, we still ended up winning, but it really dogged out the car when we put exhaust on it. Like, you're racing in the slop, you're the first guys out, so like you're right after the water truck. You got really skinny tires, so that kind of helped. But the track didn't really come around until like the last 5 or 6 laps. It was racy, but before that, it was super slippery.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah, you read my mind when you said that, because I was literally just thinking about saying that, how you used to have to go out like after in the slop and stuff. Like, is that like driving in the snow a little bit and stuff? It's
Just
gotta
like
be.
driving in the snow, identical to
Yeah.
driving in the snow. Yeah, yeah.
That's a good way to explain it. That's a good way to put it. And as far as that class goes, um, what was the entry like into that in terms of the
It
cost?
was
Like, if
great.
somebody's thinking about starting up now at Maryville, the most obvious thing to jump into is a 4-cylinder. But
Yeah.
in terms of the cost between the 4 cylinders and the pure stocks, how much difference was there?
No, the price with the pure stock was different. It was more or less just maintenance, like your oil changes. If you wanted to run new tires because you're in the slop, you got to have good tires. So tires were key, shocks were key on the pure stock. Mini stocks more like you got to have really good suspension, because everyone's got almost the same horsepower. Relatively, everyone has the same horsepower. So you got to make up in areas where maybe other people don't want to spend the money, or they don't think it matters as much. So like the suspension, the tires, the rims, mini stock's a little bit more expensive than the pure stock, I would say.
Fair enough. So with the 4 cylinders and you making the move into it, that's talk to us about when you went, up into the mini stocks, into the 4 cylinders, and what your career's been like in those cars.
Well, I raced that first year in pure stock, and about 6 races to go, I would say, from getting clinching the championship in that division. I got approached by Trevor Clark, which is the owner of TC Decals. He's done all my cars. He approached me and had a car that he wanted me to run. So I went right from racing my car in pure stock. I ended up selling that car, and I drove for Trevor I think I ended up driving for him for like 8 years or something. I drove most of my career with him. And then I built my brand new car just as a backup car, so me and Trevor could like be a little bit more competitive, and I wouldn't have to thrash as much during the week. We had a plan B kind of thing. And then yeah, that's how it ultimately started with me owning my own car. Was I built a backup car with Tyler. We both built new minis at the exact same time, and that's how it kind of just fed into me being an owner, driver kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the one thing about this year, like, you kind of just raced when you won it, but like the coolest thing I thought was like, how many different cars did you win in? Was it 3, 4? It was at least 3.
Uh,
It was Tyler's car, your car. Did you win in Hannah's car? I think
yeah,
so.
I won.
Yep.
So I won in 4 cars. I
So
won in the new car that I built for myself. I won in the car that was my original car that I had given to Hannah. And I won in Tyler's car, yeah, at Humberstone. Yeah, I pretty much, I haven't jumped in Clinton's car or anything like that yet, but we all seem to trade each other's cars, and we can do just as well in our own car.
Tyler drove Clinton's car, I think.
Yeah, I think
the night you drove his at Humberstone.
And then at
threw me for
Maryville
a
too.
loop.
I won at Maryville with it, and I won at Humberstone with it that weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that car, but it's hard to pry that when he lets me use that car. Yeah. I take that car with both hands and I run. That's the nicest handling car that I've ever driven at Humberstone.
What is that thing? That one's what?
Cobalt?
Tyler's car?
It's a G6 Cobalt.
G6. Yep.
Okay, yeah. And then So what's different? Like what feels better than the
It's a lot
V-dub?
Different. It's because it's got the computer, it's got like the rev limiter and it's got all that jazz, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was the first one of that group to find out if you hit the rev limiter 5 times, the car shuts off.
Oh.
Huh.
So you seen the one night that I was driving it the first time at Maryville, I went to the back 3 times because the car kept shutting off.
Yeah.
That was all new to us. They've never pushed the car that hard to hit the rev limiter to shut it into limp mode. So that was, unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. And then the second time he lent me the car, he actually wrote on the dash 3 rev limiters and let off.
Sportsmanship built right in.
Yeah.
Mod's got chips too. Yeah. All the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. For me, I wanted to know, you've been running mostly a Volkswagen fleet, if I'm correct, right? Just talk to us about those cars, and you mentioned a little bit earlier handling. Is handling really the key to the 4-cylinder?
I think it's all of it. I think aside from your engine running really good and keeping it tip-top shape and on point, that's all of it. It's all in the suspension. It's all in the handling. Every nut and bolting, making sure everything's tight. Those cars rattle loose because they're not meant to be doing that kind of stuff. So the ball joints take an extra beating. You got to just really, really be super thorough with those cars.
When I started watching mini stocks, it was Mustang City.
Yep, it was Mustang City when I came into it too. Rob Goulding pretty much got me into this Volkswagen and took me under his wing and taught me all the tricks of these cars. And over the years, it's not that there's bad people in the Mustangs it's just the technology. I think the front wheel drive is just a more applicable setup for that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But there's good drivers still in the Mustangs that give us a good go for our money every weekend.
Always getting quick, yeah.
Yeah.
Starting to make a comeback.
Yeah.
There's a couple more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that class right now. You guys it feels like you guys are right on the break, like right on the crest of like a wave of 4, 5, 6, 7 guys who can all start to challenge yourself, LaFontaine, and really make this a championship that comes down to the very wire. So for the average person that maybe is still in line getting their popcorn when the 4 cylinders are going, maybe sell us on the 4 cylinders. Why should we start paying attention more to the mini stock classes at our local tracks?
Well, that class is like a big family. Like you might see us ball busting each other on Facebook and talking each other up and trying to get in each other's heads. It's really just a big family. Everyone gets together. If you have a problem, like everyone will get together and make sure you get that part. Make sure you got a way to get to that track on Saturday night or Sunday night, whatever it is. They're over here pulling engines with me, pulling transmissions. We're going and doing the same thing for them. Like behind the scenes, it's very tight knit. Everyone gets along with everyone. The biggest thing is, for the most part, everyone respects everyone's equipment. Like we're not really hammering on each other, and you know what I mean? It's good, clean racing. Everyone trusts everybody. Everybody will run door to door with everybody. It's, a lot of respect in that class that maybe people don't really realize.
Yeah, I learned that when I was an announcer. Like, there's good races and everything. Mini stocks, a lot of the time, it is a really awesome race. One of the ones that sticks out the most is, I'm buddies with Travis Miller. And like one time, his brother Kyle Miller was leading like the whole mini stock race. I think I interviewed you after this one too.
I never
And then
hear
he led the whole thing, and then you stole it from him on the last lap, and you just couldn't let the kid have it. I think I said that in victory lane.
I think his dad said that to me, but not in that such a nice way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dapper Dan could,
I got
has
a
a way with
message
words.
I actually think he called me on the phone. He was so pissed he probably couldn't even text me the shit that he wanted to say. He actually called me and yelled at me like, "What is your problem, man?"
Yeah. But that race is the perfect example of what John just said with the mini stock and how I think you guys were like 3-4 wide coming for the checkers that night.
I think we were 4 wide, door-to-door handle, 4 wide for 2 laps. Nobody got the edge on anybody. I was stuck in the middle. So the last thing I thought I was going to do was have anything to do with the podium on the last lap. And it just worked out that the top, I had so much momentum and nobody touched each other to slow each other down. It worked out that I just got him at the line, right?
Yeah.
I never hear the end of
6-0
that.
for me.
Still to this
because it was Kyle Miller.
Yeah.
And I've raced with Travis and his dad. I've raced with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, they still let me know about that to this day.
Hey, gotta pay the grocery bill, man.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, that's what we're all there for, right?
Yeah.
I'd pass my own daughter on the last lap. That's people ask me that all the time. Would you push Hannah to a win? Absolutely not. I would rub the side off that car to try and beat it.
Yeah. Well, you might have to do that this year. She's
definitely.
getting quicker.
Yeah, we're definitely probably gonna have to do that this year.
Yeah, talk to us about that program and bringing Hannah along now in the 4-cylinder class and how that whole situation's been going. Because I know a lot of times I don't think it's anything to any knocks against Hannah. It's more been vehicle bugs that you guys have been battling to get her some good finishes, right?
Yeah, we battled a lot of gremlins with the car. Like I don't know if you know this, but I ended up buying that Kyle Miller car.
Oh, really?
From that
no.
Yeah, I ended up buying that car, and it was the white M&M's car.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a computer car. It was my first computer run Volkswagen. It gave me such a headache that I stripped the car completely down to the chassis and shoved it in my mother-in-law's back field because I was just I thought if it gives you that much shit and it just what I just built a brand new car, took the brand new car, gave her the one that has been like Tyler's car. He won a championship in it for me. Alex Riley drove the car for me. I figured that's a good established car. I'll give her the car and I'll figure out the new one. She ended up driving the new one night and didn't really particularly like her old car compared to the new one. So that's how we ended up switching, and I ended up driving the 19 all year, and she drove the 114 Junior. Because it's a better car, it's newer, it's fresher, it's got less things wrong, so we could concentrate more on getting her up at the front.
No, that's good.
She got a podium at the end of the year at Humberstone.
She did, and I think that was you that stuck your head in the car and had said to me, "Hey, man, congratulations and everything, but did you know Hannah got third?"
Yeah,
and that was that made my night. Like that, like nothing against Humberstone or Tyler or anything for letting me drive that car. That to me was like, okay, this is cool. Like this is what we want. This is what we talk about at supper time. That's our goal, is to get her on the podium, get a win, get up there with us, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And we wanted to have you on, especially in this episode too, because it's episode 43. And your car and your team were one of the first teams that caught my brain as a kid coming to Merrittville because you had the Hoonigan logos on the race car. So just talk to us a little bit about your fandom of Ken Block and what the Hoonigan brand and everything that maybe rally racing and all the other car projects that they've gotten into is inspired in your own racing career.
Yeah. So when I came across him because I'm a big rally fan. I love rally racing. It just seems like they're the best drivers in the world. They're in the most harsh environment. It's always changing. You're reading pace notes at 150 miles an hour. Like, it just spoke to me. I just loved that aspect of auto racing. So that's how I came on to Ken Block and his Giancana videos. And it just, I loved everything that he did. Like all the Giancana was amazing. So his first car, Giancana, had the left front wheel painted.
Yep.
That's where I ended up getting the painted left front wheel, was from that first Ford Festiva. And yeah, so I just copied some of his cars in tribute to him through the years, like, to pay homage to him and run the Hoonigan brand, because it just seems like that Hoonigan brand speaks to my personality. It speaks to my style of driving. It's either win the race or you're gonna break the car.
Yeah.
That's how the mentality is on this team.
Yeah, and it
Did
speaks
you live
to
up to that one?
yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
break.
you live up to it, and it kind of speaks to even just the series in general and the four cylinders. Like, if you're
Yeah,
gonna equate something with the way rally works, or the way a bunch of guys who are thrashing on building these crazy cars in a garage in California, I feel like it's the same thing. The four cylinder
yep,
guys, you guys are the closest to something like that. So
yeah. So I go online when I was building my first car, and I kind of copied the cage in the Festiva. Like, if that's a
yeah,
good enough cage to be in a rally car, that's probably a good enough design to be in a mini stock that I'm going to put my daughter in eventually, kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Uh, I wanted to say to start with, like the whole Hoonigan, like because I didn't know who Ken Block was, and Hoonigan on your car totally. Then I learned who he was,
yeah.
and then the whole DC shoe things and stuff. But anyway, uh, TMR, talk about starting that. Like you like build cars for customers and stuff, and
Yeah.
just talk about how you started it, and then talk about TMR.
Well, we we got the name from we raced enduros for a bit when we were doing pure stock.
Hmm.
We were taking cracks at enduros, and the enduro car just got obliterated. Like, it was just it was literally just twisted metal, is what it looked like, just twisted metal. So we were sitting at the car one night, and it came to us, just twisted metal racing. Like, that's us. Like, you know what I mean? That's this
Yep.
pure stock was a lot of beating and banging and stuff, but that's ultimately the name. If you look at our cars, all our cars are super nice and straight, and we try and keep them clean, but that's our name. So it's kind of weird where it came from, but yeah. And then I got into building cars. I built my car, built Tyler's car, and then people started asking you, "Hey, can you build me a car over the winter?" I built Tony Kelly's car, or Anthony Kelly, sorry, after Tony's car got wrecked. We've probably got like 12 cars we've built in that division so far. I'm building one right now as we speak for Alex Riley to come back.
Nice.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was talking to his dad Jeff, and they seemed like they were pretty excited about the prospects of Alex getting back behind the wheel full time this year. So that's exciting to see for the division. And for me, I just wanted to also talk to you and ask you about, you're one of the purest celebrators, I think, that we have in local racing. You're always, getting up on the car, you're bringing your son up on top of the car with you. Just talk to us about showing emotion after a win, because not every driver gets as excited as you do, and I think that's what helps make more fans of your racing, and people actually enjoying the fact you win all these races and not immediately booing you just because you win all the time.
Well, if Aaron Wiley's in the stands, my buddy, him and his wife are a big contributor to this team. They help me out tremendously. I make him boo me. If I hear that he's in the stands watching, I'm like, I'll be listening. I want the boos. Like, I get a kick out of that. That's
Yeah.
funny. Like, I don't get many of them, but when I hear him specifically booing me after like a good,
I'm gonna boo you on the mic
you
now.
should, man. I love it. I got my mom came one night and she says, "I want you to do the Kyle Busch bow if they boo at you." And I heard a boo, so I
Oh,
did the bow, and my mom was like, "Amazing, I love it."
that's awesome.
I get so excited because I put so much work into it. I'm so passionate about it, man. Like, it's not a hobby for me. It's a lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
go to work, I come home, I work on these cars till midnight, 2 in the morning. I go back to work. So when I go to the track and it all pays off and you get that big achievement, run well, everything goes good, you crack off a win, I don't ever think like the seventh win in a row means any less than the first win of the season.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's special being there, really, because it's so much hard work to get there, that I just want to absorb every moment of it. Like, I want to go on the roof, I want to talk to you guys, I want to go over and listen to Tech give me the gears about running the same junk for 4 years. And then I want to go to my trailer and crack open the drinks and shut the gate at the end of the night. Like every time we win, me, Brad Rouse, and Fontaine, and those guys, we're the last ones out. Like
Yeah.
they've already shut the lights off 2 hours ago. We're still there
Mhm.
partying, living up that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some characters.
Yeah.
We've had Brad on. Jason still got to have him.
Yeah, we do.
He'll be the last one.
They're
That's
all
another
good.
good one
They're
to
all the
party with.
same thing. They're all good guys.
Ah, you just explained the racer lifestyle, really.
Yeah,
That's why it's the best sport ever.
it is the best sport. I got my wife loading up my daughter's car while I'm at work. She puts the car in one truck, in one trailer, gets the truck hooked up to the trailer, makes sure the cooler's in, the food, the booze. All that stuff is done for Hannah's car, and then I pretty much just got to fly home from work, hook up to my trailer, and meet them at the track.
Yeah.
Like it's not just me doing all this by any means. My wife's a huge part of this. Make this easier for me, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last one for me before we get to Johnny's normal questions he asks everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like growing up with Hannah, go-kart racing. Just talk about watching your kid go-kart race and talk about that. And then at the end, explain like, why is go-kart racing so cutthroat? It is like, my dad used to call it minor hockey on wheels.
It is
more tense than a Saturday night. It feels like sometimes, like all the time.
I've come home some nights from karting, and it's been the best night of my life. And then other nights, obviously, I've come home with the shit in the back of the truck, and my wife's with my daughter at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely had the ups and downs. I didn't play hockey as a kid, so I can't relate. But I've had friends in hockey that have told me what it's like. And I can very much agree with you that it's very cutthroat. It's, I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Like I wouldn't discourage anyone from trying to get into karting, to get into cars, because it's very much helped Hannah.
No,
it's hurt her a lot of concussions, a lot of bruised egos, a lot of, being upset, getting roughed up. Like we had fun, but we also learned a lot, which I think we brought over to stock car racing.
It definitely teaches car control.
It definitely
that.
And it teaches you to like to connect with your kid more. Like you have more of an understanding of her driving style. You have more of an understanding what's going to make her upset. You're going to have more of a understanding what kind of car she's going to need, and you're more tailor a better car as far as just coming into mini stock. Go-karting helped a lot. Like we had a lot of hard times in it. I know me and you have had a couple arguments over karting.
Mm-hmm.
We hashed it out. We called each other. We talked it out. It's, you know what it is? You're going to have that shit. I've had fights with Tony Kelly. I've had fights with other people that you get into, rough driving with, or the night just doesn't work out perfectly. We're all friends at the end of the week, but that night and maybe a few days after, it doesn't look like on Facebook we're very friendly.
No.
But karting was similar to that.
It leads to that though, just because there's like the one lane 90% of the time where you got.
I wasn't a fan of that. I tried always to teach her, go to the top, like run the top. If there's no one up there, go up there. We'll make the car work up there. You know what I mean? Like, don't freight train around the bottom, because you're not going to win a race following 5th place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good lesson to learn. That really is the search for your lane, search for your clean air, so to speak, clean racetrack to race on. So that's good to know. I'm not racing go-karts on the dirt, I don't think, this season, but my fiance and I think are going to go sign up for a club and go-kart racing. So just to hear that we can expect a few concussions and some hurt feelings, that's great.
Rough.
Oh, the pay carts can be even worse than
the carts,
regular racing carts.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when I got her a cage and I got her in a car that I built, I didn't want to test it out, but the way we did. Like we took so much time teaching her setup and what the car's doing, hold a line, all that kind of stuff. We never ever discussed pit stops.
Yeah.
So she came in and made a dynamite pit stop. My wife changed the tire, the whole shebang, got her out on the lead lap. She went flying out there and just creamed Clinton. Like and I'll never forget to this day of the gasp the entire grandstands made when those two cars made contact. It was just a gut-wrenching feeling. Like, I felt like I let her down because I didn't go into enough detail about pit stops, about stay to the top, just kind of lay in and fold into wherever you can get in on the track kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she went out there just guns blazing, doing what she told, like we told her, go, 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 go. That's what she did. So we wrecked both cars pretty bad. You guys probably couldn't tell, but those cars were pretty well used up. Like the frames were pretty tweaked in them, and
Yeah.
I wrecked quite a bit. I ended up fixing Clinton's car too because I felt bad that we caused all that. Like, he's the guy like me. He's like, he works 9 to 5. He thrashes on it. That's, you know, he doesn't have time to be doing extra stuff to it, right? So
no,
we've all made dumb mistakes too, though.
It happens.
I've done it. She's done
Everybody.
Everybody's done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Modified sportsmen, 3-stock, mini stock, dwarf car. Everybody.
It's hard when you got the helmet on, right? Because your adrenaline's going. You're. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get you out of here on this one, Kyle. I think I know where you're going to go with this answer. We asked this to every driver in particular, but I'm going to give you one race car, one racetrack to race at for the rest of your life. What's the combination you're picking?
Well, as a kid, I'd have to say I've always wanted to race a modified or a sportsman at Maryville.
Okay. All right.
That's like my bucket list has changed as I've become, like, I wanted to win at Oswego. I've wanted to win like all the big races, the first 1,300 to win, stuff like that. But my next goal is to eventually get to an open wheel of some sort and conquer that D-ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the toughest places ever.
Absolutely. I hear that from Joe Plazik. We're friends online.
Yeah, I know.
He tells me every time.
On the internet, he said that the other day.
He's like, you win at Maryville, you can win anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the awesome thing about it. I kind of thought you might drop a rally car, like 100 Acre Woods or something like that, but I like that answer.
We've talked about it, Tyler and I. We're just so busy with, like, when I opened my own business, I thought I'd get more time. I got less time.
Never.
Wait.
We have absolutely, I'm not even going to lie to you, discussed about building a amateur class rally car, but we can't take a year off from the dirt.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to do something else, my heart is with this dirt around here. Like, that's just, but I'd love to try a rally car at some point, but open wheel, that's where it's at.
Yeah. All right. That's what I want to hear. So
yeah,
you heard it here, folks. Rothwell's going modified racing, TBD. Sometime
Send
soon,
the sponsors
maybe.
over. Let's do it.
All right. That's awesome. Thanks for taking the time, Kyle. Appreciate it. And good luck in 2023. And we can't wait to see you and the entire TMR gang out on the racetrack in whatever vehicles you guys choose to run.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Cheers. That's Kyle Rothwell.
That was awesome.
On the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. And the Checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Oswego Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.